Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of our team draft series here at Blue Chip Scouting. I am Tyler Forness, and with me is the president of Blue Chip Scouting, Tyler Browning. He is getting everything set up on a technical end, so you'll be with us here momentarily. We're going to have some fun tonight because we have a very intriguing team, especially with the Deshaun Watson news that just dropped here a little bit ago, and that is the Indianapolis Colts. They are in need of a quarterback after trading Carson Wentz, and they are void of a first-round pick. The first pick they have is pick 42, so they can still sneak back up into the first round, but they are going to need to find a quarterback to lead that franchise. They have a lot of veteran talent on the roster, and getting a quarterback to be able to lead that team will be able to help them get to the promised land. The AFC South is a very winnable division. The AFC is a brutal conference. So without a quarterback, the Colts really don't stand too much of a chance. Oh, excuse me. I had some seafood for dinner. Let me tell you, it was delicious, but I am burping up a storm. Let's get some beer. All right. Like I said, we are having some fun. I am going to turn it over to Tyler now that all the technical stuff is set up. Tyler, my man, it is good to be talking with you. First time I talked to you since I got stranded in your beautiful state of Texas.
Yeah, I mean, that was fun for me getting to see you. It's been a while, but I'm sorry you got stuck coming home from Mobile.
You know, if I had to get stuck, it was really cool to be able to get stuck somewhere where I had a friend so I could at least salvage something out of it. Let me tell you, when there's a little bit of ice in Texas, it's really hilarious for somebody from the Midwest. I can't get over that. But, you know, it's really cool to be able to kind of explore a different state. And your brisket made me just feel bad about my cooking talents.
Man, and I got better at it too. I added a water pan to the smoker and made it even more tender.
Oh, water pan. Oh, that's a brilliant idea. I am going to do that next time I cook.
Oh yeah, it really helps retain the moisture and everything. It's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, without further ado, let's get going. As you can see, we are sharing my second screen here. We're using the Rise and Draft Simulator. Tyler also writes for Rise and Draft, and after some conversation, the kind of consensus was that this is going to be the more realistic simulator, which honestly is what we want to do. We want to be able to be as realistic as we can for the Indianapolis Colts and their fans to try and project out what the best case scenario is. It already started. Obviously, the top 5 picks really don't matter. So I'm going to hit continue, and we're going to kind of see how things fall off the board. Tyler, as we look at everything, the Colts obviously need a quarterback, as I said in the intro. Outside of quarterback, there's not a lot of need on this team. What are some of the needs that you really feel that they need to target?
I reached out to some Colts fans in preparation, and they said they would love a wide receiver, a tight end, a corner, and some defensive line depth.
All right. Yeah, wide receiver I think is a really good one, especially with the uncertain future of T.Y. Hilton. And let's be honest, Hilton kind of took a step back last year, and it's no longer that underrated outside weapon that he used to be. He had a great run, but he's kind of starting to slow down now. So we'll kind of see what we can do here. We are approaching pick 42. The 2 picks ahead are going to be interesting. Neither one of them wasn't quarterback. And we currently have a couple good quarterbacks on the board. It looks like only Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett came off the board for the Colts because let's be honest, this is almost the best case scenario for Indianapolis. You have the Seahawks who had 2 chances to pick a quarterback. You had the Texans who technically had a chance. The Giants, the Lions. Like the Lions did take Kenny Pickett. So we only had one quarterback go in the first round. Tyler, do you think we have to go quarterback here? Because we have Corral, Ritter, Howell, and Strong still on the board.
I think it's your best option. I mean, I'm not sure if they're all going to be here in round 2 in the real NFL draft because of positional value. But, I mean, they just got rid of Carson Wentz. I mean, who's their starter? It's not Brissett, is it? Is it Eason?
Right now, it is Sam Ellinger, and they are looking to upgrade the position. Baker Mayfield has a lot of interest in the Colts. From what I'm hearing, the interest is not as mutual as you might think. It's really going to depend on the price from everything I've been hearing as far as who the Colts want to acquire. They don't want to give up a lot of day two capital because they have a lot of it. And right now, you're probably looking at a couple year stopgap option unless Baker Mayfield explodes, which means, and it signals to me that the Colts really want to attack that deep 2023 quarterback class, which I don't blame them. 5 years of team control at reasonable costs.
Yeah, if you want to optimize yourself for next year, you go ahead and play your fullback at QB and Sam. But
hey, you know what? Let's run the triple option. Let's give him another fullback at QB and Sam Howell. Right. Sam Howell, Sam Bellinger in the backfield, Jonathan Taylor. Let's have some fun.
That would be quite the TV spectacle.
Oh, it would be an incredible spectacle. But let's look realistic. We can take this one in two ways. We can take a quarterback who any one of these guys, outside of maybe Carson Strong, is going to need time to develop. Matt Corral, RPO-laced offense with, Lane Kiffin. Desmond Ritter, massive accuracy issues, but he's got everything upstairs. He's very, very intelligent. Sam Howell plays in a basic offense, and he's Baker Mayfield without the arm. And he really showed a lot in the rushing game. Carson Strong is a little different. He's got the cannon arm. He's finding more velocity because he can finally use his base. And he ran a complicated offense where he had to do a lot of reads and changes at the line of scrimmage. A lot of different routes you can go here. Personally, I think Frank Reich could probably end up taking Matt Corral because he's already won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles and utilizing RPOs. And I think with what Matt Corral gives you from a potential talent standpoint, because there are a lot of things to work out with Corral. But I think Reich would be able to maximize him, be able to unlock the things that weren't even potentially able to unlock. And he's got issues. We know that he likes to miss open receivers. And I don't know how much of that has to do with the offense, what he's kind of programmed to do. Is he programmed to run right away? Like, there's so many different nuances we just don't know and are privy to. But to me, Corral would probably be the Frank Reich pick. Tyler, what do you think?
I'm between Ritter and Strong. I think Colts fans would come for our heads if we sent them Matt Corral with his Arkansas game under his belt. Carson Strong is my QB1, and he has the knee concerns, of course, but man, him here in the second round, I mean, getting QB1 even in a weak class, that doesn't sound like a bad deal.
I agree. Carson Strong is going to end up being my QB2 behind only Malik Willis. I think Carson Strong is a fantastic football player. There is so much that he can do on the field. He's not mobile, but he is a traditional pocket passer, and he can light you up from at all levels of the field. Let's go with Carson Strong. Let's give the Colts fans a quarterback who can play right away. Does not have to play right away, but you can put him in there and you can feel very comfortable about the selection. Sam Howell just went off the board. Matt Corral, Christian Watson, who would have been a really nice target for the Colts.
Desmond Ritter to Pitt.
Yeah. Pittsburgh with Desmond Ritter makes a lot of sense. That offense is really designed to be quarterback friendly. And if the bigger arm you have, the better it is. Just look at Ben Roethlisberger pre and post elbow injury. He was able to make all those throws down the field, and the offense was clicking on all cylinders. Second he goes, and that arm is just shot, everything kind of collapses around it.
The question is who's there to throw to now? Juju's gone, and James Washington just signed with the Cowboys.
Yep. You still have Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Pat Freiermuth at tight end, Najee Harris in the backfield. Ray McLeod, underrated player himself, just signed with the San Francisco 49ers, likely in more of a kick return, like gadgety kind of role. But the one thing I always trust with Pittsburgh, they know how to evaluate receivers. They're phenomenal at it. The Steelers and Packers are the two best in the NFL at identifying receivers and getting the most out of them. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily worried about their depth at the receiver position, but I do understand the hesitation right away. All right, we do have the Colts on the clock at 73. We have some interesting options here. They do need tight end. They need it pretty bad. They were able to retain Mo Alley-Cox. Jack Doyle retired, and then the tight end market just went kablooey. It got eaten up really fast. A lot of guys re-signed with their teams, and then you had a couple tight ends signed elsewhere. Tyler Conklin took a $7 million a year deal with the Jets. Evan Ingram, a 1 year, $9 million shot with Jacksonville. And then OJ Howard, 1 for 3.5 with Buffalo. And that feels more like I want to revitalize my career and try and win a title than anything. I think you should go tight end here because that offense really predicates itself on having two really good, balanced tight ends. And you have Trey McBride sitting there at 73.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's not often you get two players at the top of your position groups in rounds 2 and 3, but mine are sitting right here. I mean, McBride would be very good for that offense.
Well, perfect. We're in agreement. We're going to take Trey McBride here. And then as the draft kind of progresses, we're going to be picking again here at about pick 85, I think it is. Might be a tad earlier than that, but there's going to be some really good football players still on the board. Oh, it's 82. Okay.
All
right.
Just went. Dang.
So there's a couple different positions that we mentioned off the top. Wide receiver is a need, and we see Sky Moore right there.
Yep, that was my instant reaction.
T.Y. Hilton replacement. I love it. Let's kind of look at a couple other spots. You talked about getting some defensive line depth. Zach Carter, Haskell Garrett, Neil Farrell Jr., Otio Ogbania. I probably butchered it, but that's probably way too early for him. Edge guys who they did just get Yannick Ngakoue, and they got the two guys in the draft last year. Probably not a spot. Corner is in need after the trade for Rocky Sin. Martin Emerson's an interesting play here, but I feel like we might be able to get away with taking Job or Alontae Taylor here in a little bit and not have to worry about missing on a receiver as quality as Sky Moore.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Emerson didn't have the best testing day. I mean, I would be sprinting to turn in Sky's card right now.
Yeah, I've seen him be projected after last night with Devontae Adams trade. I've seen him projected at 28 to the Packers by a few different experts. So don't be, Sky, Browning, I don't know if I've told you this, but there's a scout that hand-timed Sky Moore's 10-yard split at 138, which is 100 percentile. That would be 0.02 seconds faster than the fastest time ever recorded at the Combine. And that was former Cowboy Des Bryant at 1.4.
Oh, speaking of Des, he was very happy about James Washington.
As he should be. I don't think they ever crossed paths at Oklahoma State, but obviously both alums and both were fantastic players for the Cowboys. And now they both get to call themselves professional Cowboys, which is a nice little touch.
Both from Texas as well in high school.
Where did James Washington go to high school? Do you remember?
I want to say it was Stanford, Texas, or Stanford. One of the two. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but
okay.
I'm pretty sure he went to there, which is like Central/West Texas.
Okay. All right. So we are on the clock again at 122. And I think this is a really interesting spot to either double up on tight end because Cade Otton is staring you right in the face. But it's also an interesting spot to talk about offensive line because there is that question mark at left tackle. And Quentin Nelson still has not signed a contract extension with the Indianapolis Colts. Max Mitchell is a very nice player out of Louisiana Lafayette. Kellen Deach, near 100 percentile athlete for the tackle position with all of his athletic testing, an absolute maven, needs a lot of work technically and just developing general play strength. But the blueprint is there to make him a really, really good tackle. The blueprint is very similar to what Brian O'Neill experienced at Minnesota, just an athletic freak who's still growing into his frame and into the position. But you can see an end goal there. So I think those are two options. We did want to talk about cornerbacks. Tariq Castro-Fields, Cam Taylor-Britt, Mikal Wright, Jalen Armour-Davis, Zion McCollum are your best options. When you look at this, Tyler, what's your first inclination?
My first inclination was check out corner, but I'm not sure where our next pick is. Are we able to scroll down and see that?
159. So that's a tough bet because you can take Kalen Barnes, who ran that blazing 40, but we also know what fast corners have projected out to be in the NFL, especially ones that run in that 4.2 range. Think Fabian Washington. Think DJ Hayden. Those guys that the former Oakland Raiders drafted in the late first round all those years ago. Those guys don't necessarily translate because it's not just about speed. It's about quickness, lateral agility. Joshua Williams is an interesting guy, but it feels like if we don't take a corner here, there's a high chance that we're going to miss out on one at a decent spot. They still have a lot of cap free agency dollars, and that can be a position that you fix in free agency. Is that worth the risk to you?
I haven't watched Zion McCollum or Joshua Williams yet. They're like two of my last corners, but I mean, I'd be tempted to take Zion McCollum here. I'm not sure he makes it to 159. He tested stupendously at the combine. He was a D1 AA standout, Senior Bowl invite, late ad, but still got it. I'm between him or either Max Mitchell or Teach.
So I would actually consider Jalen Armour-Davis before Zion McCollum because Armour-Davis, one, has that profile, and he flashed really big time in the SEC playing for Alabama. He's got genuine track speed. He was hurt a lot this year, which I think really hindered a lot of his play, especially as you progress later on into the season. But when you look at the board right here, I like the idea of Kellen Deach because he's not going to be asked to start right away, and he can grow into that left tackle spot while you find a stopgap here on the market because there are still a couple guys that you can take, and there's a potential of Terran Armstead.
I'd say let's go Deach and pause the draft at like 150 to see if McCollum or Davis or someone is still there and see if we can trade up.
Okay. All right, let's get to where. All right, Castro Fields is gone. Michael Wright is gone. Armour-Davis is gone. Okay. So I pause it. Bailey Zappi just went at 144. We still have Cam Taylor-Britt. We still have Zion McCollum. And we are looking at almost a 15-pick gap between right now and our next selection. Do we want to try and make a trade with Denver for 145?
How many picks do we have left?
We have 159, 179, 216, 240. There's a high likelihood that we're going to have to give up 179 because 216 is a little late, but we can try it.
Let's try 216. If it doesn't work, I'd say let's advance a little more.
Okay. Let's see. Denver, 145, 159, and 216. Try the trade. It worked. We ended up getting 145 for 159, 216. So I think Zion McCollum's the consensus, correct?
Yep, that's what I'll take.
Beautiful. Zion McCollum is now an Indianapolis Colt. So currently, we have done a pretty good job of addressing needs and getting value. QB1, Carson Strong. Tight end 1, Trey McBride. Sky Moore, Kellen Deach, Zion McCollum. I'm feeling pretty good about how the Colts should be feeling about this draft.
Ballard should hire us, in all honesty.
Hey, you know what? I would not complain about that. Indianapolis has St. Elmo's, and if you've never been, top tier stuff. All right, so we're at 179 here. We can consider another cornerback. Damari Mathis is an interesting player. Same with Chase Lucas, who I'm surprised is viewed this low. I thought he was going to be more of like a 5th round guy than a late 7. Jake Ferguson is the one that stands out to me in this individual group because there's a lot of running backs, and they still need a tight end too. Ferguson, I believe he had some injury concerns during the season, and he did not test the greatest. But when you're drafting him at this spot, you're not going to be asking a ton of him, and he's going to be able to really learn the position on the fly with Trey McBride on the opposite side.
I agree. He stands out in that group, but let's look at defensive line and safety before choosing.
Okay. Of this group, Myron Tagovailoa-Amosa looks pretty good. Thomas Booker is a really nice kind of hybrid guy. If you want just that big boy to put next to DeForest Buckner, Noah Ellis is really nice. Son of former Lion defensive tackle Luther Ellis. Edge guys, it's pretty weak.
Yeah.
And then as you go on to safety, Leon O'Neal Jr., Bubba Bolden, who our colleague Dante Colin-Lewis, he can't tackle. So that's never a good sign. Marquise Bell is a really intriguing option who I don't believe is going to be here when it actually comes to the draft. So that's kind of what we're looking at, Tyler. I'm still leaning Ferguson here because they do need those 2 tight ends, and it is such a priority in that offense.
I would say Ferguson or O'Neal would be my choices here.
Okay. I'll be honest, I don't know enough about O'Neal to have a solid opinion whether to be for or against him. So I'll let you make this pick. Who do you want to go with?
Well, a little profile on O'Neal. He was highly recruited coming out of high school. I believe he might have been a 5-star, but was a 4-star at the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Just never really reached expectations at A&M. I'm pretty sure I haven't watched him yet. I'm not sure I'll get to him. But I'm pretty sure he projects as a box safety. He's a physical hitter, always looking to jar the ball loose. Ball skills can be questionable at times. He showed some flashes, but not his strongest suit. Honestly, I don't hate Ferguson.
Okay, let's do it. Newest member of the Indianapolis Colts in a really deep tight end class. Ooh, I just saw Daniel Bellinger, and now I'm sad. Jake Ferguson. Bellinger is a guy I think could end up sneaking into round 3, and I'm very excited about his pro potential.
Didn't he get like a perfect 10 RAS or something?
No, it was 996.
Oh, man.
It was nutty, and he was mainly a blocking tight end at San Diego State. But then when he went to the Senior Bowl, he looked like a top 3 tight end. When you have guys like McBride, Ruckert, who is probably the best tight end, in the entire group. Punt guy just went to Tennessee.
Yep.
There's still some good tight ends on the board. James Mitchell, Derek Deese Jr., who is Devin's guy. All right, we are getting close to 240, which is our last selection of the draft. What I see right here is I see Chase Lucas, and I feel like that's a slam dunk. I don't think he should be available towards the end of round 7, and it keeps addressing the corner need. And at the very least, he's going to play special teams.
I know he had a lot of hype going into, I want to say it was this year or last year. I'm not sure he necessarily lived up to it fully, but I'm pretty sure he has a very good athletic profile, so I wouldn't hate it.
Boom, there we go. Chase Lucas is an Indianapolis Colt. And as the draft kind of wraps up, there is your class for the Indianapolis Colts. You have quarterback Carson Strong from Nevada, tight end Trey McBride, Colorado State, wide receiver Sky Moore, Western Michigan, offensive tackle Kellen Deach, Arizona State, cornerback Zion McCollum, Sam Houston State, tight end Jake Ferguson, Wisconsin, and cornerback Chase Lucas, Arizona State. When you look at this class as a whole, Tyler, what do you give it?
I mean, with Carson Strong slipping to round 2, I mean, that's in a perfect world 100% ideal for them. Getting tight end 1 in round 3 is a good bet. Sky Moore, who's probably a top 10 receiver, might even be top 8 in round 3. Deach is an athletic tackle, and Zion is an athletic freak. I mean, I'd be tempted to not give it anything less than like an A-.
Yeah, that especially considering where you got guys and how you maximize your capital, I think it's about the same thing. Zion McCollum, I think it was a really nice get for us, and we didn't sacrifice taking the athletic, high upside offensive tackle in order to get him, which I think was a really big win for the Indianapolis Colts here. I'm with you. I'm at a B+ A- range. I think they did a fantastic job of making sure that needs were hit, not sacrificing value, which is really the Chris Ballard way. You want to take top guys on the board, and then he also maximizes that by finding them at positions of need. Like, yeah, he's just so great at the overall draft process. I think this would be a home run.
I know Colts fans will be upset about no safety, but this class isn't really super deep at safety. Once it hits, I mean, I think I like one guy in round 3 right now, and then it really trails off.
Yeah.
After round 3, there's not much on the board.
100%. And at the very least, a lot of these corners can transition to safety late if you don't like how they play on the outside. So
yeah,
plus,
Chase Lucas could be a prime example for that.
Absolutely. And the safety market is still somewhat robust out there. If you can convince Tyrann Mathieu to go there, there's a couple of other really good players available on the market. I wouldn't be too concerned as Colts fans at this point in the offseason that a mock draft doesn't include a safety, because I believe that they're going to find one.
Real quick, Devin's going to get me if I don't correct you on your pronunciation of Matthew.
Mathieu?
Yeah, it's Tyrann Mathieu.
That's Matthew?
Yep.
Devin cheers for the Saints, so I don't know. That good for them for not acquiring Deshaun Watson. Let's just say that much. In the meantime, this was fun, Tyler. Make sure you turn into Blue Chip Scouting's YouTube channel for mock drafts of every team in the National Football League. So far, we have done the Rams, the Bengals, the Chiefs. Is there any team that I'm missing so far, Browning?
Let me see. We've done the Rams, Bengals, Broncos, Chiefs, and this is the Colts. So next is New Orleans.
New Orleans. That should be an interesting one. Until then, from the president himself, Tyler Browning, I'm Tyler Forness. Make sure you follow along. It's going to be a really fun draft season. Take care.